Oh well, hello there my darlings, and welcome back to another little episode of the Warframes. And today, as you can see on the screen, we are taking on the Alchemy mission node type at the beautiful SANCTUM ANATOMICA. But before we get stuck in with the whys, the wheres, the whos, the wherefores, please feel free to drop a like, sub and or comment on this or any of my videos to show your support, because without you guys, there's just no channel, is there? It's just me talking to myself. In the meantime, thank you for being here. Now, let's get stuck in. And if you're unsure, to access the SANCTUM ANATOMICA, you must have completed the Whispers in the Walls quest. This comes quite later on in the game, so don't be like, oh my, I haven't done it, I can't access it. It's, you know, you work towards it by doing all the other quests first, essentially. So get stuck in is my advice. And the SANCTUM ANATOMICA itself can be found on Deimos. It won't be there until you've done the Whispers in the Walls quest, but it is an addition to the Necrolisc, and you can access the SANCTUM ANATOMICA from the Necrolisc if you want, or go straight there. There are many options on how to get there once you've unlocked it. The Alchemy mission node is called Cambier, and as you can see, the suggested damage is electric and radiation. No viral necessary, and you can access it here. You can access it as a bounty sometimes from the SANCTUM ANATOMICA, and sometimes it's even an Omnia Fissure. And as you can see, we have an ABC rotation reward table here, and it drops Tennokai melee mods, among other things. Tons of endo can be found at the SANCTUM ANATOMICA also, plus all the extra goodies that you're going to need to build other things, the weapon, the Archwing weapon, loads of relics. And if you don't know about rotations, it goes AABC. So each alchemy that we create, each pod that we fill, that's one rotation. So you have to do 4 of them to get to the C rotation potential drops. And of course, it changes slightly for the bounty if it's up. And obviously you might get more goodies if you do it on Steel Path. And I think there is some assumption that by the time you reach these higher level nodes, you know, the Zariman, the SANCTUM ANATOMICA, that you may have progressed through the game a little. Hopefully got yourself some good Warframes, some good weapons, good mods and loadouts. This is my Citrine loadout I'm just using for this one. I have done a Citrine episode if you want to go and check that out. I'm using my Tenet Glaxian. I take this a lot to the Sanctum because it slows the enemies. When I use Dante, it kills the enemies, it mullers them on the Netrocell solo. But slowing them down helps me get my headshots for my Incarnon, which is my Latum Incarnon. I called it the Lone Wolf because it just doesn't need anything else, honestly. This is a radiation build I switched to because, as it mentioned, radiation electric will damage the enemies. So yeah, that's my loadout. And also I took, I believe, my Kubro. Again, this is in a Citrine episode if you want to go and check out more details about the builds and why I use what I use. And I brought the Glaive Prime because I started using this for the Void Rig and Bone Widow Necromechs that come in, because with my Jaya build, which is very good for high level Steel Path electric damage, the melee I was using wasn't taking them down, and my Epitaph and I believe it's the Exceltra just wasn't touching them. So the Glaive actually comes in very useful for taking down the Necromechs if you build it correctly. I'm still sort of tweaking those builds, but yeah, let's get into the actual alchemy mission and how you actually do it. So on this occasion I came to the SANCTUM ANATOMICA and I've headed to the laboratory navigation room, and from here I will pick the Cambier alchemy node. I could flick it to Steel Path from here if I wanted to, if I've got it available, and so can you if you've unlocked your Steel Path nodes. And then when you get to the mission, Fibonacci will start telling you what you need to do. Essentially, we are creating elements by adding element amphors to a crucible. There you go. On this one, we need heat and electric amphors to create radiation, and we've got to basically pick up these little glowing things that the enemies are going to drop, and they will drop more than just the heat and electric amphors. You just need to make sure you've got the right one. It will tell you on the top of the screen which one you've picked up, and it'll tell you to throw it into the crucible. Now we need to get 100% of each of these elements into our crucible, which is right in front of us, always highlighted with yellow. So, you know, kill the enemies, go and pick up the amphors and start lobbing them in. There you go, that's an electric. It's actually telling me that I've got the electric symbol on the top of the screen to throw in, and you just got to rinse and repeat whilst it's basically like defending the point as well as killing the enemies, picking up the amphors, lobbing them in. When you're doing an Omnia Fissure, the only thing you need to be mindful of is that you've got all your reactant before you've all filled this crucible up. And as you can see, it says crucibles completed 0. When we've done 4, that's the C rotation. So we're currently on the first A rotation. And I don't know if you just saw that I picked up a toxin amphor by accident. Now I could just drop it again by switching weapon or pressing the drop button, but I actually just lobbed it at the enemies. You can use it as an extra elemental damage, like a status effect on them. It's so much fun. I actually really enjoy the alchemy mission myself. And I think the percentage it goes up by every time you lob it at the crucible depends on how close you get it. And there always seems to be one element that's not dropping as much as the other. But as you can see, we reached 100% and now we are in the next stage, the conversion progress. So let's have a look at this bar at the top. We basically need to wait until it's in that rectangle, and then we need to keep it in that rectangle by shooting the distressed pipes, which always tickles me. They're not always obvious, depends on what tile set you're on. You might have to run around, but as you can see, they're highlighting in these yellow sort of rectangles that you can see around now. The optimum thing is to wait till it's right at the top of that rectangle and then shoot a distressed pipe, and just keep an eye on what your fellow Warframers are doing, because if you all shoot one at the same time, it might take it below the rectangle. Basically, whilst it's within the rectangle, it's converting quicker. That's all. You'll get to 100% much quicker. In the meantime, you're still taking on enemies and running around and hoping that you don't die. Okay, so optimum distress pipe shooting is very important as a squad to make sure you're keeping it within it. And as you go through it, it will shift slightly, so you might think you're okay and you've got plenty of time, but all of a sudden you're almost at the top of that bar, and if you reach the top of the bar, essentially you're going to fail the mission some way, somehow. Or they'll just kick you out. Depends if you're on your first or second round, or whether you've got the option to extract. So just keep an eye on it. Probably better to be below it, the rectangle, than way above it, but the optimum is obviously keep it within the rectangle by shooting those distress pipes. Now we've done the first rotation, as you can see, and it's giving us the option to go to do another one, which is the second rotation A, or we can extract. Now I'm going to stay on and do the 4. I will not bore you with the whole thing. Obviously it gets tougher and tougher with more and more enemies and Xmas spawning in, but as long as you've got a good loadout or a good squad, you're gonna be fine. And if you're not, come and find me in game and let's go and do it together. And here are the basic rewards from doing that mission. You pick up a few bits and bobs, and I thought I would take Jaya and do a steel path bounty. Now it's not always available as a bounty, so don't take that as a guarantee, but as you can see, there's a prerequisite. We have to hit 12 enemies with cold amphors as well, but you may pick up the Corvex Systems blueprint, the Mandanel blueprint. There's all sorts of goodies to be had from the bounties. I just decided to go higher level because I just wanted to show in this video that you can do it. I took Jaya, my Jaya build. I've added the Glaive Prime to that build. Again, I have done a Jaya video, a separate one, if you want to go and look at Jaya builds. Her electric damage is really good for the Sanctum Anatomica mission, especially this one. And it's the same vibe. You just come out, you wait for Vip and Archie to start talking to you. On this occasion, I had to build up my energy before I got stuck in. But the only other thing with Steel Path is obviously you have to be mindful of the, I call them the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, you know, misery and all those angst coming in and kind of spoiling your moment. But nothing will destroy the Crucible, I don't believe. It's just, they might destroy you. And it's just higher level, more difficult. I gone solo on this occasion, but you know, you can obviously go in as a squad, and squads make it so much easier. It's just sometimes people aren't so focused on lobbing the amphors into the Crucible that I guess they expect other people to be doing it whilst they're killing all the enemies and taking on all sorts of battles, mini battles. But also, if you're doing that Omnia Fissure, I will show you the Omnia Fissure. You just have to be mindful that, I mean, it usually works out fine. They've worked it so that you get your reactant in time. But sometimes, you know, some people will just rush through the mission and not actually think about the reactant dropping for everyone. And you can see it on the screen. You can see how people are progressing with their reactant collection. Anyway, we'll have a look at that in a moment. And there are my goodies from the Steel Path node. I did that solo. And now I'm taking Protea to do the Omnia Fissure. Why not? I think I went solo on this one as well. But I just wanted to say that it's taken me on average between 18 to 22 minutes to do the 4 rotations solo. Might be a bit quicker with other people lobbing amphors into the Crucible. Depends, I guess. But let's say an average of 20 minutes. So 5 minutes per round, which is kind of similar to a survival, I guess, or defense. So with this Omnia, obviously you can see I've got 6 reactant, and I've balanced out the heat and radiation that I need to collect around 40 to 50%. I want to make sure I get my reactant dropping before I finish the Crucible, because I don't want to have to worry about getting it while I'm trying to take down the distress pipes. And I showed the right hand top of the screen there because that's where your squad members' names will be, and next to their name will be how many reactant they've collected. So it's kind of like you can be mindful of your squad members to make sure they're close to getting their 10 reactant before you sort of complete the round. Because obviously if they don't get the reactant, you don't have access to their rewards, and neither do they, which sucks for everyone because we're here for the goodies and the loot, guys. And there you go, relic cracked, and I'm around, what, 60 to 80% on both of the alchemy thingamajiggers, the amphors, so I'll continue merrily now. And as you can see, it takes a moment when you're solo, but it's still very much doable. As long as you've got a tanky Warframe or something that can defend quite well at the same time as running around and picking stuff up, you'll be absolutely fine. And like I said, my darlings, if you're unsure or you just need a hand, come and find us on the Discord. The link is in my channel. You're more than welcome. It doesn't just have to be Warframe that we're talking about there. You don't have to be an experienced player. You can be as new as a newborn baby into Warframe. You are more than welcome. There's lots of helpful folks around, and we've got like Warframe mod channels now, so you can have a look at mod configurations and advice. And yeah, just get some help, my darlings. In the meantime, have fun with this alchemy mission. I love it. I actually really enjoy it. It's just a little bit different to other nodes, you know, keeps the old brain ticking over, and there are a lot of goodies to be had. So my darlings, I hope this video helped you in some way or entertained you in any other. In the meantime, thank you so much for being here. I really do hope to see you again in the next one, no matter what it may be. It's probably going to be another SANCTUM ANATOMICA video, I'm just saying. But I do hope to see you again. And yeah, in the meantime, take care and goodbye.